Warning. This podcast contains explicit sexual language and should only be listened to at work if you're looking for an excuse to connect with your HR representative. Additionally, all mentions of the word women include cis and trans women. If you are genderqueer, gender fluid, figuring it out, anything in between, and feel like this conversation is also important for you, you are welcome here.
Will you open up with me? These pages, they can feed your innermost desires. Do you feel inspired? Are you getting what you need? Are you coming curiously? A secret safe with me. And here you can simply be yourself. Sweet romance. Come on in, come on in, come on.
Hi, y'all. This is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance. Here we are. Episode 2 of What Vanilla Can Learn from Kink. And I have a feeling, y'all, if you think this is going to be like my summer series of or even like book definitions, this is going to be an ongoing series. As we learn, as we grow, as topics come up in the world, I will most likely be adding to this series. But there are a few things that I wanted to start with right away. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, Turning Negotiation into Conversation, go listen to it. It's fucking fun. And if you want to know what this week is about, it's like what you motherfucking like. So I want to start this conversation off with a, hey, vanilla, let's not appropriate kink terminology for stuff that isn't kinky first. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to, number 1, my definitions episodes, number 2, any of the Pink Kink podcast with Princess Rara, or the episodes I had with her, or you didn't listen to last week's episode, here is my definition of kink. Kink is a consensual power exchange that may or may not involve sex. And for me, anything that isn't kinky is vanilla. And that's really important to know, that kink requires a power exchange in order to engage in kink with another human. There must be negotiations, and anything else is vanilla. I hear a lot of people in the vanilla word appropriate the term kink to mean preference.
Oh, I can see that.
Yes. Or they might mean a fetishization or a fetish. But the definition of fetish is something such as a material object or non-sexual part of the body or action that arouses sexual desire and may become necessary for sexual gratification. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So, fetish is something that is typically not inherently sexual that becomes part of your sexual practice. And that's something like the one that is most common is feet.
Mm-hmm.
They are not inherently sexual. They are not part of your sex organs or reproductive system. And yet the interaction in various ways between a human and someone else's foot typically can lead to sexual gratification or might be necessary for them to feel satisfied in a sexual experience. That's a fetish.
Yes.
But I hear a lot of people say the word kink when really what they mean is fetish or preference. Oh, I've got a blonde kink. Oh, I prefer this type of partner. I look for, I like this style of position. And that's not a kink. It's a preference. But I think the reason why putting the word kink there is because in the kink community, so much is accepted that whatever thing you have that you believe is weird isn't, or maybe it's not like it's socially acceptable for it to be considered weird if you call it a kink versus I just like that. And I feel like in certain situations, the term kink is used instead of preference. And this is where we're getting into the conversation of like what your motherfucking like. All right?
Yeah.
This is where we go into it. One of the things about kink, and you might have heard in books that you've read or stories that you've seen, or maybe you're part of the kink community, is there are often lists that people have access to, or they can make. Actually, I have one. I can show you. Oh, that was a wire. Okay. So we're gonna use a book example of this shit. So
Yes.
if you haven't read the Wicked Villain series by Katie Roberts, she is re-releasing them as trad. They're great and spicy. And in each one, each person gets a kink document.
Yes.
Like a kink, they call it a kink. It's called a kink questionnaire here. And you can, I really like the one that she has. It has giving, receiving 1 through 6. And you fill it out like a multiple choice, like your SATs, except at the end of the test, you're feeling frisky.
I definitely wasn't feeling frisky at the end of my SATs.
No. But yes, so typically in the kink community, you have access to these massive documents. You can find them online. You can have these conversations, and you can go through incredibly detailed answers of what you like and what you don't. And there's no judgment about it. Do you like canes? Well, what type of cane? Do you like wooden canes or plastic canes or metal canes or some other type of canes? What material of flogger do you want? There are lots of, and you can get incredibly detailed into your preferences, what you like, what you don't, what you want to try, what you don't want to try. And one of the things that we talked about last week in our turning negotiations into conversations, big picture, was that, second step of, no, the first steps of like, what do you like? And here's where I want to like champion the vanilla world, because it is big and it is vast. And I think so many of us don't feel like we have the opportunity to like what we like or explore the nuance of sexuality and sensuality with a partner, because we've developed this very narrow view of sex and intimacy. And that if we like something a different way than our partner likes something, we're the weirdo, they're the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, number one,
that makes sense.
No one's the weirdo.
Yeah, that's not right, but yes.
It's not real.
Yeah, not
but
real.
Having the ability to, and the freedom to express to the tiniest of details what you like and how you like it, I think is what gives that freedom in kink. ideally in kink, if you are with a kind, supportive, wonderful partner, they will not only let you express these things, but then support you by doing those things the way that you have asked them to be done.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And in vanilla, we aren't taught how to do that. We aren't taught how to receive that as a partner. So it's not just also about expressing, it's about how do you receive the preferences of your partner in a way that makes them feel comfortable and excited and supported.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if your partner does want you to suck on their toes? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just ask them to clean them.
Yes.
Although
there are some people who don't really care.
Unless it's a thing you don't care about or prefer not to. Again, but like, okay, let's talk about the feet. Let's talk about feet then. Let's, what? Last week it was anal sex. This week it's feet.
There you go.
Number 1, do you like feet? Cool, great, awesome. Now you can say I like feet, but what does that mean? Do you like it when people touch your feet? Do you like it when you touch other people's feet? Do you like both? Is this reciprocal? Do you want someone who is okay with touching your feet, or do you want permission to touch your partner's foot? Those are very different asks.
Yes, very different.
And if you say, hey, I like feet, your partner might assume, all right, I will let you suck on my toes. It's fine. But what you really mean is I want my partner to suck on my toes. And for them, that's not fine. Or they might demand, I need you to put food on them or have them clean or not clean or whatever. Oh my gosh. Like my brain is spiraling into like the nitty gritty of how you can interact with feet. Yeah. All right. Number 1, who's doing what to a foot? Or are both people doing things to feet? Do you want hands to the foot? Do you want mouth to the foot? Do you want props to the foot? Props like, again, like sensation. Do you want to be tickled? Do you want to be hurt? Do you want to be poked? Do you want like shoes? Do you want straps? Do you want like, I remember, here's the wonderful thing. I'm going to ruin some friendships in this moment. I had a friend whose now ex loved, this is a preference, this is not a kink, buying cheap fishnet hose, ripping a hole in them.
Okay.
During intimacy. And so like that whenever she was like, no, I gotta buy some new ones. Like, because that was his thing. It's not a kink, it's not a power exchange, it's a preference. I like ripping, like seeing you in fishnets, ripping a hole in the fishnets and fucking you while you're wearing the fishnets. And I want a new pair of fishnets every time, like apparently.
Yeah.
Like that's
I had a play partner who his preference was for me to be blindfolded whenever he came over to play.
I'm assuming you met him not blindfolded.
Yes. Not blindfolded. Yes.
I have no idea what he looks like. Never seen him before in my life. No. Y'all, that's dangerous. If someone ever suggests that, don't.
I knew him. We met. We talked. We negotiated. That was just what he wanted me to do whenever we scheduled a play session.
And that's a negotiation. That's a preference. That's not like, can blindfolds be part of a power dynamic? Absolutely. But they also don't have to be part of a power dynamic. I'm going to reference a lot of things we talked about in the first episode of What Vanilla Can Learn from Kink. So if you're annoyed by that now because you haven't listened to it, just pause this episode and go listen to it. I'm going to talk about the fuzzy pink handcuffs. Fuzzy pink handcuffs can absolutely be used in a kink dynamic or a scene in play. They also can just be kind of fun.
Yeah.
They can just be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good. I also want to say like role play can be kinky if there's a power dynamic, or vanilla if you're enacting, I don't know. I mean, you can be enacting a thing without power dynamics, but like you can also
Like
be
the stereotypical Princess Leia in the slave outfit from Star Wars.
yes, sure, absolutely. I'm immediately like my brain is like don't dive down to furry, don't dive down to furry, but like cosplay, you want to cosplay some scenes, you want to fanfic, you want to reenact some fanfic in a way that does
Whoa.
not happen in the world. I'm not okay. I know that fanfic can go like crazy, but like I am sure that you're like, no, I want to be Wonder Woman and I want you to be Superman. I don't know if that's canon, but like that can be how you dress
It
up.
is.
What is it canon?
It is in on one world, I believe. There's also Wonder Woman and Batman at some point. If I remember my
Cool.
comics correctly. Yeah. That's
I
nerdy Seffi coming out to play.
I kind of feel like fanfic is what like rule 33 or rule 37. Like if it exists, there's fanfic of it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like just like if it exists, there's porn of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not saying that fanfic is porn. Not saying that fanfic is porn.
No.
Porn, but it can get there. Anyway, back to the moment. So we're going back to the feet. Why not get specific? Why not, like, if you have a really specific thing that you want, that you like, being able to express that and ask your partner for it is incredible. Ruining all my friendships. This is the ruining all my friendships. No one knows who I'm talking about. If you ever listen to this episode, all of my friends, I apologize. I had a dear friend and they had a partner, and I remember talking to them and they expressed to me that their favorite thing to do was come on their partner's face. It was their thing. And they were so glad that their partner felt like neutral good enough about it to let them do that from time to time.
Nice.
Inherently not a kinky thing, not a power dynamic. It's just his preference. It's what he prefers. And he was able to express that to his partner, and his partner either didn't have an adverse reaction to it, or liked the idea enough that that was something they were able to engage with. Now, is it something that everyone prefers? No, it's not.
No.
And I don't think that if you asked most vanilla people, they would say, that's exactly what I want to have happen every single time. Oh, I could be wrong. I don't know. I will be very honest. That is terrifying to me. It is a bordering on hard limit for me, because I will flinch. Just like I know it. It's not, I will be like the look on I cannot wait there with an adoring look. So excited for you. Yes. I will try and it will fail. I'm pretty sure I have tried to have that happen and it did not go well. But like just the idea of waiting for that, I'm like, anywhere else, just not the face.
Just not the face. And see, I have never had it happen, but I would like to have it happen while I'm wearing my glasses.
All right.
So, yeah.
And like this conversation is a preference. It's something that you like or you dislike, but it all falls under vanilla. Like it does. It can be part of it certainly can be negotiated in a scene in play, But inherently that act, if you let me put it in a different way, because someone out there is gonna be like, that's such a power dynamic act. I'm like, no, it isn't. Because what if it was reversed and all I wanted was for you to come on my face? Like, what if I begged you? What if
Yeah.
you've never done it before? And
Yeah.
I was like, no, please, partner, I want jizz everywhere. I want it dripping from the eyelashes. Thank you. Then that isn't that's not a power dynamic. I'm asking, demanding,
Yeah.
begging, whatever it is. It's
Exactly.
not necessarily. So when it comes to your likes and your dislikes, often in the vanilla world, we think that we have to stay within this small little boundary of what everyone else does. And the reality is we have no idea what everyone else does. There's only what we do. And if we're thinking about sex in terms of vanilla and kink, kink is the power exchange and you are vanilla, then anything that isn't a power exchange, you have access to.
Mhm.
From the simplest, I want to peck on the cheeks, to however far you want to take it. And one thing that gets kind of shamed is this idea of things that aren't inherently sexual being sexual for you or eliciting sexual feelings. That idea of the fetish. Now, some of them are, and they can go far and wide, but I would argue that anything that feels good to your body sensually can be part of your sexual experience.
Yeah.
And like inherently, like interlacing fingers isn't sexual,
No.
but have you ever played handsy with someone?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever, like, for those of you watching at home, like brushed
Yeah.
your fingertips against someone's inner wrist or had someone do that to you? These are
Mm-hmm.
sensual, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily sexual. And often I find that because sensuality isn't sex, it's kind of deemed as this weird thing. Is it a fetish? It's not sex. It reminds me of that scene in Friends where like Joey and Chandler are like 1, 2, 3, and then Rachel and Monica are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like all of and the boys are
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Like there are
Yeah.
places where touch and sensation can be very heightened on the body, and
Mm-hmm.
partners might like that or might not like that. That might be a good place to touch or a bad place to touch. You might like a hard grip or a soft grip or a medium grip or nails or no nails or like the whole hand or single finger. Like the options are endless. And with kink specifically, when you're going through these negotiations, not just in a general sense, but also for a specific scene, because you might have maybe your list was not as detailed as we talked about. Like this list just says clit play. Okay, well, with hands, with mouth, with toys, like what? What do we mean by that? So you can get real specific negotiating general likes and preferences and kinks, and then also for each scene what you want. And I think for vanilla, we don't let ourselves imagine all that could happen with a partner. And with romance novels specifically, what I love about them and why I think everyone should read some real fucking filthy romance is because you don't know what you don't know. And in this mainstream bullshit shrinking of what sex is, you lose out on all that it could be. I had no idea. I wanted to give a blowjob with my mouth full of another man's cum until last week. I have been reading romance for over 2 decades. I am still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, dear friends, what you could discover about yourself.
Exactly.
Like, I want to grab the camera and be like, what have you never thought of before? Because it's like not fucking fair.
No, it's because, like you said, vanilla in general, in the society that we are in now, is a very narrowly viewed. It's viewed as a very small amount of things that you
Yep.
can do in the bedroom. And that is just sad.
So sad. And things are also ranked in terms of importance. Like it feels like,
Yeah.
especially for heterosexual couples, because guess what? Heterosexuality is the worst sexuality. We need Diane to like really fix this. We're gonna make a tagline, and it's gonna happen
Yes,
at some point. And then we can sing it easily. But
yes.
if you're specifically in a heterosexual relationship, it's penis and vagina or bust.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Do you know what
That's
I
it.
kind of miss? Do you know what I kind of miss?
What?
Like hours long makeout sessions. Like high school.
Same.
Like high school. Or even like
Yes.
early relationships in college where like you're
Mhm.
still not sure how experienced the other person is, or you're like not on the same level of experience, because people assume once you've crossed certain boundaries, you're just immediately going to cross certain boundaries. I miss that. I miss the freedom to just like be physically wrapped up in another human.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's
it's
one of my
hard.
favorite things.
It's
When I
great.
like start talking to like a new partner or a new play partner, I'm like,
Yeah.
is kissing a boundary? Is that an issue? Because I really, really enjoy it. And I would
Yes.
like it to happen a lot.
Yeah. And I think part of it is that before you've had certain sexual experiences, you're like, this is everything I've ever had. You're like, you don't know what
Yeah.
you don't know. And like, you know, it's easier to progress things along once in a makeout session, we're like, oh my God, I'm feeling all these feelings. And you're like, you know what I really want? I want an orgasm. And you know what I can do to get an orgasm? Sex. So we're going to stop this makeout because now I want sex. And it's easier for those things to progress once you've, broken through those boundaries. But like a good old fashioned makeout session where you're just like no offense, I'm specifically talking to me, where you're like grinding up against someone. Oh my God. I don't think there's anything like a good old fashioned dry hump.
There's really not.
No.
There's really not.
So like, but that's great. Like, why don't we bring back dry humping? Like, I think it's so fun.
I agree. Like and not only is it just central, it like builds anticipation. Like you just like it all just plays into everything.
Yeah. Like whenever I read a book and they're like in the back of a cab and they can't keep their hands off of each other, I'm like, please don't put your hands down her pants. This is a cab. There's a person 3 feet from you. This isn't a limo with like a privacy screen. You're in a cab.
Mm-hmm.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Like just no. Public indecency. Public indecency is real.
Yes.
I get it. I
also,
absolutely understand.
the cab driver did not consent to
Thank
any of
you.
that.
Bringing it back. I feel like last week you did such a good job of reining me in, and this week you're like free for all.
Also, I just got off of work. In my defense, last week
true.
it was better. I was not working. Yes,
no, you were better. But I want everyone in this conversation about like what vanilla can learn from Kink, that like what you like what you motherfucking like. Yes. And that if someone says anything other than I will respect that boundary, or I can't wait to do that with you, they might not be the right partner for you. Or they might need some educating. Like, I'm also going to say that they are also a victim of the patriarchy in the system that we're in. And so giving enough grace to be like, hey, let's talk about this. I don't want you to be an asshole forever to any future sexual partners. Might be needed, or it might just be like, sayonara, sucker. Because you deserve to have a partner who, even if they're not enthusiastic about everything you're enthusiastic about, that they are neutral, positive about it. And
they will hear you out and listen to what you have to say and have that conversation with you. But they won't just immediately shut you down and be like, oh my God, that's so freaky and weird. No, that's not a person you want to be in a partnership with.
That's not a person you want to be in a partnership with. And it's not fair to you. It's not fair to your future sex life. And I think that we need to understand that, number one, liking something doesn't automatically make it a kink, doesn't automatically make it a fetish. It might just be your preference. And that if we're using the terms kink or fetish, that we are respecting what that actually means. Because a breeding kink is something very specific. And it has a lot going on there in play and power dynamics. It's not just, I like watching my cum drip out of a hole, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But that is a preference. That is I like that. And inherently, it doesn't have a power dynamic associated with it.
Yeah.
If your preference is, I want to watch my cum fall out of an orifice, that's just, I want to watch my cum fall out of an orifice.
Yeah.
That's not, I have a breeding kink. And for both humans who are vanilla and also authors, I'm noticing a lot more like, oh my God, I love the idea of coming inside of you. Do I have a breeding kink? No, you don't. You just like coming inside of a human. Maybe you just want to get a person pregnant and it's not a kink. You just want to put a baby in there. That's fine.
Yeah.
You can want to procreate and there's nothing kink about it.
This is a true statement.
Oh my God. Like, if you are trying to conceive, you don't suddenly have a breeding kink.
No. Thank you.
Those are two very different things.
Very different things.
Very different things. Now, you can have both. Both can be true at the same time.
Yes.
But they are not inherently together.
No.
No. Right? That's one that I'm getting a lot like, oh, do I have a breeding kink? Nah, dude, you just like shooting your load into a hole. Like, maybe you just don't want to wear a condom, which is a different conversation. But like, it's not a breeding kink.
No. Breeding kink, like a breeding kink very much has a power. It very much has a power play behind it. Like there's a power exchange behind it because, I mean, typically breeding, is very animalistic in terminology. We'll say that.
Yep.
Where the male mounts the female and pretty much doesn't stop until they've gotten the female pregnant, essentially.
And like that can involve some like kink wise, it can involve role play, it can involve power dynamics. It also doesn't have to be the male who's breeding. Like you could tie up your male partner and mount them until and pretend. Like there's also like aspects of role playing.
Yeah.
Like there's so please listen to Princess Rara's episode on breeding kinks. I think she has one. Like
Please. Yeah, they do.
because it's not just I want to come in an orifice. It's not just I like unprotected sex. It's not that. And like, just admit that you like, and that's why I think a breeding kink has become acceptable language for I have a preference, because you can't just say I like it, because you're not allowed to have preferences in vanilla sex.
Right.
And that's not true. You get to have whatever preferences you want.
Inherently.
You can prefer the type of partner that you like. Like, I know we all joke that everybody wants, 6'4", however big.
Tall,
blah,
dark,
blah,
and
blah, blah.
handsome.
Tall, dark, and handsome. No, I like my actual preference is 6'2", blonde, blue eyes.
See,
That's
my preference has changed. I remember in high school, I was like, I thought the idea of a male partner with facial hair was abhorrent. I was like, no, thank you. I want clean shaven and whatever. Yeah. Now, if you don't have a beard, don't come at me, bro.
I will say that like I'm okay with black hair, blue eyes.
Yes.
But I want a bear. I want a man with body hair. Like I want a chest. I want a lumberjack. I want to like pet some fur.
And see, I'm different. I'm okay with body hair, but I would prefer to have not that much.
And that is totally fine. I don't think I've ever said like no to a partner because of any body hair on their person. I like, men have body hair and like it is what it is. I have had partners, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast. Like I remember one specific partner who said something incredibly rude about my my waxing habits. And I know. The fact that I slept with them again, like I did. I didn't do anything about it. Like I was like, you said that, like that's nice. You can say that. It's not going to change. Like,
but see, that was you taking power from the situation. So
I was like, that's
I think
nice.
that was okay.
I have my waxing schedule and it's not going to change for you.
Yeah. Good. Good.
But like, and that's the difference between like, you have a preference and then that's a preference. It doesn't mean every single time. It doesn't mean everything. Like we all have things that we like and we don't like, and people that we fuck and we don't fuck, and it doesn't fucking matter. Like it, but I think that being able to sit with what do you like is important. And if you watch the clip from Friends that I'm going to put in the show notes, and you can only think of like 3 things and not 7, read some more smut. Read Business or Pleasure. Read Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and really think about it, because there is so much more to a sexual experience and a sexual encounter than like 1 kiss, 2 hunkas, 3 weeks in a row, 2 hunkas, and like 3 pumps and you're done. Like there's more to it than that.
Yeah, there's more to it than lie back and think of England. Like it's like my biggest word that keeps popping into my head is allowance. You are allowed to like more specifics when it comes to your sexual encounters.
1,000%. You are allowed to get specific with your likes and dislikes.
Yes.
You might love bites, kisses, sucks, but if someone like puts their tongue on your neck, you'll be like, no, I don't want to lick. I don't want to lick. That's weird to me.
Yeah.
But I want you to kiss, I want you to suck, and I want you to bite. That is allowed.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest, or one of the biggest issues, is people think they're not allowed it in vanilla. And it is so wrong.
So wrong. Like, and there are so many other ways to explore sensuality. There's like so many other ways to touch and be touched. It's not just lying next to each other. It's not just doggy style, like not in the shower. God damn it, not the shower, but like, what about a mirror? Like,
bathroom counter in front of the mirror.
If you have vanity. If you have a structurally sound vanity.
Yes.
You have a structurally sound.
Please.
But this is also like, number one, it has to be structurally sound. Number two, you've got to have a mirror. Number three, you've got to be the right proportions between you and your partner to have this work. I think it was also fucking sweet because it's Emily Rath and I love her.
Yes.
Poppy is tiny and the two MMCs are hockey players. And she wrote, she was like, and then he bent his knees. And I was like, you damn straight have to bend your knees. She's 5'2". Like, you better bend your fucking knees.
Yeah. It
So
doesn't like you can't not everyone, for those watching at home, not everyone is this exact same height. There are a lot of instances where it's like floop and it's like how?
Also, even if you are the same height, like, and especially if you're dealing with, because typically, not always, but in most male female dynamics, the man is taller, just men are taller in general. But like, if you're in a same sex couple, like, you might be the same height and have different proportions. Like, there are some dudes with really long legs, and like a woman with really long legs, or like, and a woman with really short legs are not going to be at the same height with each other. They're the parts of the body won't be there. Same with a guy. Yeah. I know people who are incredibly tall, tiniest legs.
They're all torso.
Like, if they're trying to fuck a man the same size as them, they're going to need to be on a step stool. Like, it's not, from like, while standing, like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Or they're going to need to be, like, really wide. They're going to, like, the person they're fucking is going to need to take a really wide step. You know?
Yes. Yes.
Or you find a bench and you strap them to it. It's fine. But like, there are things that like logistically, there's no shame in it. Y'all, like, everyone doesn't fit together the same way. Okay. So going with like my personal experience, I have found that like 6'5" is as tall as I can long-term date. Here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. It's because I'm 5'7". And I have really big feet. I'm a size 10. Yeah. Giant feet for anyone who cares.
It's all about the feet this episode.
I'm a size 10, extra wide, flat feet. So if you're into an arch, sorry, it's not happening.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's the wrong feet for you. But like, I can lift up onto my toes. I can wear heels. And this isn't like 2010 anymore. No one goes to the club the way that we went to the club. Like, no one has like no one has the ability to wear 4-inch heels the way that like those of us who know wore 4-inch heels. But so I could releve and get myself up to the point where like my partner could kiss me without contorting their body in a weird way. And I find that like 6'5" is really the limit. Like, that's like, there's just a little that like I can't almost reach him.
Full 12 inches.
Yeah. It's 10 whole inches.
I'm
like, and that's not like like with 6'2", 6'2" is really my favorite. Like I can get up there and like steal a smooch. But with 6'5", they're just like, one night stand, couple nights, it's fine. But long term, like I won't be able to like smooch you when I want to smooch you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like that's where the size preference comes in for me. Like 6'5", 6'4" and below is fine. I'm sure if I were going like 10 inches the other way, it would also be weird. Like probably like if I were dating shorter, like maybe 6 inches, just because the smaller, like if I'm 5'7", if I'm dating someone 5'1", their feet have got to be tiny. There's no way they could relevate up to my mouth. So, all right, to summarize, like what you motherfucking like. There are kinks, there are fetishes, and those are specific. They have definitions as we've laid out for them. And then there's just your preference. And all of my friends in vanilla or kinky people who have vanilla sex, you are allowed to have just as detailed, as nuanced, as nitty-gritty preferences when it comes to your sex life in vanilla land, because vanilla encompasses everything. Do you like kissing? Do you like open mouth kissing? Do you like closed mouth kissing? Do you like a lot of tongue or a little tongue or a deep tongue or shallow tongue or teeth? Do you know how detailed you can get with kissing?
Right?
With just kissing?
Like, just kissing.
Just kissing. And there are preferences. You might not like tonsil hockey, but someone out there does. And they want a mouth all the way back there. They want a mouth. They want a tongue all the way back there. They want to put their tongue all the way in there. And I want them to be able to both express what they want and find a partner who wants it too. And have a partner tell them, sorry, that's not my thing. Because if you knew how not their thing it was, wouldn't you want to stop doing it? Because vanilla, you're allowed. You have that. You have that autonomy. You have the permission. And if no one's actually given it to you, here, I give it to you. I gift you permission. Ask for what you want. Hear your partner when they ask for what they want, and have these dialogues outside of sexy time so that you can be in a more like coherent, mentally focused zone to be successful in these conversations. And if you at the end of this episode are like, I don't know what I like. I don't know. Number one, read. Don't watch porn, go read. Because porn, they have to make sure that it's good for the camera. Just don't do it. It's not bad, but it's for the camera. Always.
Exactly. Always.
Books are for your mind. Because you get to imagine whatever the fuck you want. You don't want them to be blonde? Imagine them brunette. Like, it's fine. They do not have to be blonde just because they wrote it blonde. If you have not gone to my website, jacereadsromance.com, when you sign up for the newsletter, and you might need to fix that, but when you sign up for the newsletter, you can get access to my top books at every spice level. Do not go for the number 5 spices. Do not go for the number 5s. But start with the numbers 1 through 3. I will put my top 5 books for spice, and these are all going to be maybe like 2 to 3.5, because I feel like if you're just exploring spice, maybe 4 and above is not for you yet.
Yeah.
It's not for you yet.
Yet.
Doesn't mean it can be. These are all going to be vanilla focused books. So if you're looking for kink book recommendations, that's not going to be in this specific show notes, but maybe in the future. And I hope that you come back to figure out what we talk about next. And follow along. Make sure that you subscribe so that you can get updates on this series whenever it is that we drop them. Have an amazing day. Think about what you want. I hope that your sex
like what
gets
you
better.
motherfucking like.
Like what you motherfucking like. Bye.
Bye.
Jace Reads Romance is a 3 Paws Productions podcast. Produced by Seffi, edited by Michael Achenbach. Our theme song is written and performed by Diana Weishauer. For show notes and more, head to www.jacereadsromance.com. That's JAYCE Reads Romance. Follow us on socials at Jace Reads Romance everywhere. For more exclusive content, visit us on Substack, where you'll find extended episodes, bonus episodes, and more. Have a question, story, or a book recommendation you know I'll love? Email Jace at jacereadsromance.com or call and leave a voicemail at 661-JACE-RR. That's 661-529-2377. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. And as always, this is Jace, holding space for you.